Hey guys, sorry about that disruption. Let's try doing this again. So hey guys, how you doing? This is a quick chat about the law amendments that World Rugby have announced. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a quick chat through the law amendments, but please feel free to add any comments or questions at the bottom, and I'll try and have a chat about those. Sorry for those of you that were on before that I dropped off, but had to take a quick phone call, and now I'm back. So, World Rugby have announced that the Northern Hemisphere are going to get in line with the Southern Hemisphere on the law amendments. So the Southern Hemisphere had them since the beginning of the year, or basically post-Rugby World Cup. But because the Northern Hemisphere season had already kicked off, they were using the old rules, not the new rules. And this is one of those problems we have, and we will continue to have every 4 years, or even slightly more often, if some of the rules they put in, they want to take back out again, due to not having a global season. So there's no one time where it's easy to say, right, there's no tournaments on, so we'll cut over the rules, or the laws, sorry. So that's why we have this problem. So they came out and said, the Northern Hemisphere are catching up, and we'll be having the new rules, except for the June internationals, we're just going to introduce the new more rule. So this isn't really a new rule, it's more clarifying and getting back to the old way of doing it. So back in the old days, so if you're talking about Brian Moore, all this kind of stuff, in a maul, you had to pass the ball backwards as people join the maul. Over the last few years, what you've seen is, and David Pocock has been a great example of this, he'll join the maul with the ball, and players will just slide past, and he'll stay at the back of the maul as players join. So they're going to be playing, have that rule. All the other rules are not going to change. So all the players who've been playing Super Rugby or Pro Rugby, for those in the States as well, they'll have to forget all the rules that have been changed and go back to the old ones. So here are some of the main amendments that World Rugby are talking about. So replacement for a player injured following foul play doesn't count as a replacement. So I don't know if that means a player can come back on after they've gone off, or how that really works. Advantage may be played following a scrum collapse. We've seen that a lot in Super Rugby. Play acting or simulation is now specifically outlawed. These are all things that will come in after the June internationals, but are already in place for Super Rugby. Teams must be ready to do a scrum after 30 seconds. Not that we've noticed much of a change from Super Rugby with that one. Resetting following a 90-degree wheel goes with the same team that put it in the first place. The scrum half of the team is not, the defending team is not allowed to go past the flanker at the scrum. And when the ball has been at an embrace feet in the scrum for 3 to 5 seconds, the referee can say use it, and they have to get it out. So those are the new rule changes. The one that I think is going to probably call, and if they have a click on there, it's about more minor law amendments. Interestingly, one of the biggest ones that hasn't been mentioned is that is what happens with a penalty after time is up. So in the old rules, and so if last weekend in the Premiership final or the Pro 12, if you're camped on the 22 and you're 4 points behind and you get a penalty, what you're going to do is you're going to kick what you had to do was to tap and go, or maybe call for a scrum. In Super Rugby, what would happen is you would kick to the corner, and because it was a penalty, you get to take the line out even though we've run out of time. So you would kick to the corner, have the line out, and go for the driving maul. So obviously there's a big difference there with decision making around this rule. So that, to me, I think is going to be one of the ones where we could end up with an embarrassment for one of the skippers. And it's not clear if that's one of the rules that is in or out. I don't think it's going to be in. So you've got all these Super Rugby players and, say, Pro Rugby for the American and Canadian players who will be playing in games with old rules, have to try and remember that things have changed. It's all a bit crazy, but as I say, until we get a global season, that's how things are going to stand, and that's how it's going to be, unfortunately. So expect some confusion over the next month. Watch out for a captain making the wrong decision, especially once time's up, or with the crowd shouting or booing about something because it's not the way that they expect it to be. Especially as most of the games will be played and hosted in countries that are using the new rules with a crowd that are used to the new rules, not to the old ones. So any questions or comments that you want to make, then please type them in and we'll have a chat about them. Otherwise, that's what I thought I'd have a quick chat about today, because I think this is one of the crazy things that comes up, as I say, every 4 years. And if they decide to revoke one of these rules, obviously it happened, then at some point they're going to have to cross over back again to the rules. It's one of those things that I don't think there's an easy answer to without a global season, and it's just how they happen. Well, thanks guys, and for listening. There's you can swipe or tap to if you swipe to share it, or you can tap to put hearts on. I'm jealous of the hat. I've got to get some Rugby Global gear made for myself. Thank you. Yep, there's these shops in the malls here in New Zealand where you can just go and get hats embroidered. So it is a one of a kind, unique one. And when I get a logo, I'll get it redone. So yep, all part of the brand Driving More. What you might have also seen is I'm trying to crowdfund Driving More. So if you want to support Driving More and help me go full time, then please go to Patreon, Patreon, .com/Driving More, and for as little as $1 a month, you can help me crowdfund Driving More. So thanks everybody, and if there's any topics that spring to mind tomorrow, I'll be back on tomorrow. We can have another chat. Cheers, guys.